Hey Terry, it's Mike Cravens here. Got your messages, got the bad news, hearing about Craig, and just wanted to recap a few things that we were good friends, early '70s, young men, uh, middle school aged. I hung out at his aunt Enid's. That was like a second home to me. God bless her, and we played Pop Warner football together. Imagine that. We played Pop Warner football together. He scared the hell out of me the way he played football. He had his own ideas about how the game should be played, and let's just say I was glad we were on the same team. At any rate, we went on family vacation together. He came with me with my family in the early '70s again. We went through the Southwest and long hours of driving with Craig. Imagine that. Theories and opinions and hypothetical conversations, spirited conversations, and hey, that's what the unconditional friendship is all about, right? We maintained a relationship in high school. We rode our mini bikes together. We tore Aunt Enid's front yard up with mini bikes. I think we should canonize her or give her some sainthood. And I fondly remember his brothers, sister, Lori, Bruce, Jeff, Terry, Terry. And then, of course, Aunt Enid and her kids. I think it was David and Kathy. Saw Craig in the '90s. Turned out we lived like 2 blocks from each other in Sierra Madre. And just recently I wanted to reach out to him and, so we could tell stories and get caught up, because our relationship, we just seemed like we always picked up where we left off. And I heard about his passing. So I'm real sorry. And my condolences to you and your family. And not forgotten on my side. And anyway, hope you guys take care of each other. See you around.
First of all, I want to say that as an adult, I liked Craig a lot. He was a friendly guy. He was always willing to tell stories about his life. He was friendly with other people that I saw. And just a good guy. Going back to the beginning, I knew Craig as a small child. He lived nearby to my house, at my grandmother's house, and when my parents wanted to go and visit, I would go along and visit all my cousins there. Didn't really spend a lot of time with Craig because he was a younger guy, and I spent most of my time with my cousins David and Kathy Allen, who are closer to my age. Even then, I knew Craig was having a tough life because his mother was mentally ill and didn't have a job, didn't have very much money, and along with his other brothers and his sister, they all had a difficult time, but I think Craig took it the hardest. Even in his later years, he made no secret about his anger and resentment for his mother. As Craig got older, I got the impression that he got a reputation as a problem child and a troublemaker. I heard at the time that he considered himself an evil genius. I was a little wary of him. I remember one time after he got out of high school, I was visiting my Aunt Enid, and he was living down in the basement below the apartment where she was living. And he had his own room down there, and he, in a friendly manner, invited me to go down and see his new automatic pistol. So I was a little nervous about it, but I didn't want him to think I was afraid, so I went down there. And he showed it to me, let me hold it, He was moving it around, pointing it here and there, and he didn't really follow the rule of not pointing it at someone, whether it's loaded or not. I wasn't positive it was unloaded, but anyway, no one got shot, so that turned out okay. I continued to see Craig at family gatherings, and until he eventually just quit coming to the gatherings, and I didn't really know what happened to him. Other people I asked didn't seem to know what happened to him either. I got the idea that maybe he was in prison or dead. I didn't see him for many years until my Aunt Enid died, and he came to the funeral. And then he was just friendly like his old self, and was telling about how well he was doing at working at the Clary Corporation, where he was selling the uninterruptible power supplies that they make. After that, I saw him at a lot of family gatherings, and he would tell stories about how he traveled all over the world selling the Clary Corporation products, selling many millions of dollars worth of stuff. And I asked him about his high school days because I was interested in his earlier years, and he told me he was involved in some kind of a race war with the black kids in his high school and other nearby high schools. And at one time after school he was attacked by several black kids and was beat up and was lucky to escape with his life. I'm sure that he had more stories of how he attacked his enemies, but we didn't get into that. At some point in his life, he managed to get a pilot's license, although he didn't like to call it that. He preferred to call it a pilot's permit for some reason. But that was another impressive achievement. Craig talked quite a bit about his life and achievements, and sometimes it got to be a little bit more than I could handle because he would get off on the same story that he's already told. But that was Craig. My overall impression of Craig was that he had a very tough life, but he overcame his obstacles with his guts, intelligence, and perseverance, and managed to become a successful and reasonably happy person. And he was a survivor and someone he didn't want to mess with because he would boast about his knowledge about guns and other weapons and his willingness to use them. So he moved away to the desert and said that he might work part-time selling stuff for Clary. And in fact, one time he called and asked if I wanted to be his assistant, more or less, and travel with him to Texas and help him with the details of his sales work at some kind of convention or something. But I had to decline because I have my own business to run. He told me he had plans to build a short takeoff and landing airplane from a kit and build an airstrip, a short airstrip on his property there in the desert so he could take off and land from his property. He didn't come to last year's Christmas party, but I didn't think that was unusual because he moved away so far, it'd be too far to drive. I hadn't heard anything from him for over a year, but that wasn't unusual. So I was shocked to hear that he was in the hospital and not expected to live. So he had his new life in the desert and all the time and room to pursue his interests, and a bright future ahead of him for many years to come, and now it is all gone. He was a fighter and a survivor, and something happened to take it all away. I hope there is a thorough investigation to find out what happened and if any foul play was involved. It is so sad and such a tragedy that he died.
Guess I've got that old traveling bone. Got a feeling
My brother Craig grew up in Monrovia, California. He was the second child of 5 kids. My mother, our mother, grandmother, and our aunt who helped raise us all. But mainly Craig, she helped with. Craig seemed to take to her better and control his temper at times with her than he would with others. But Craig had a very nice, good side to him. There was a time when we were younger, he smoked, and I was saying I want to smoke. So he took me to this place where he wouldn't be bothered, and he made me smoke a cigarette all the way down. I hated that. But I can tell you from that day I never smoked again. Never wanted to. There was a time when I was growing up in high school. Craig also was there for me. They didn't want to accept credits I had from my previous school. It was a private school. And Craig had a talk with them. And with that talk, they accepted the credits, and I graduated with my class. Then there was another time I remember deeply. I had some problems happening, and he was there comforting me, and he was also telling me things will be okay. It'll be all right. And they were. Craig had a soft side. He had a rough side, but he had a soft side for family and friends, and he really cared. Craig also loved to travel. He joined the Navy when he was 17, and I think they sort of mellowed him out some. He was with them for 6 years. Later on, he worked for a company called Clary. He also traveled a lot with them. He helped design equipment, electronic equipment, and also go around the world selling it. Craig enjoyed his travels. There's a picture I saw recently of Craig fishing and smiling with the fish he caught. I kind of wish I knew he liked fishing. I would have loved going on with him. Craig was known for his stories and tall tales, so probably that fish would, instead of being maybe about a 3-pound fish, it probably ended up being a 20-pound fish. But that's Craig. And I will miss him. And I love him. And I'm sorry that he left so early. But Craig, he knows how I felt. I know this because he was there for me whenever I needed him, and that's a brother. And I would be there whenever he needed me if he needed me. And with this memorial and with his full military honors burial, I hoped I met some of his needs with that. I think he'd be honored by it.